Guys, I got my glasses on tonight, so I can't hardly see crap. Tonight, we're going to talk about the ABA stuff. We're going to talk about some stuff about ICAST and the fishing industry. First off, I want to thank all the sponsors that we have with Fishing Chaos and what Fishing Chaos is doing with the virtual tournaments now. If you go to the Fishing Chaos app and look at the Southern Strings virtual tournament they just done, I mean, the virtual tournaments, I know a lot of people don't understand what virtual tournaments are, but they're taking over fishing right now as far as the number of people they're getting. Plenum Medical, thank Plenum Medical, Powerhouse lithium batteries. Man, it's hard to do videos on batteries. RJ and I talked about that earlier. But like our batteries, we never have to charge. We have the running guns on our batteries, and they charge while you're fishing, and it's incredible what they do. Thump gel, I mean, y'all have heard me talk about thump gel. I love them. And of course our head with chompers. Icon boats. We've got 2 boats for sale right now. Would like to sell one of them. You can look on my page and see the videos of those boats, and somebody's going to get a heck of a deal. You can contact me and I'll tell you what that is. But we're going to sell at least one of them, and one of them has no hours on it. The other one's just broken in. It's got like 4 hours on it, I think, break-in time. But and I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. GTO, Guntersville Tackling Outdoors. If you're ever at Guntersville, they're the best people in the world. They got GTO at Guntersville, Waterfront Tackle, and then at Goose Pond. So I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. But anyway, tonight there's some more developments with the American Bass Anglers. American Bass Anglers, it said that they had a issue with their bank. Yeah, there's an issue. There's no money in it. But the guy that won the boat, is the guy who won a boat. ABA gave him a certificate. It's a fraudulent certificate, okay? ICAST doesn't know anything about the boat. ABA told him that the boat was being built. It's not being built. ICAST doesn't know anything about it. Doesn't have any boat that's been bought from ABA, any of that. Johnny, I'm going to get your weight boat back. Does Paul... Not that I know of, Red. But we're going to talk about ICAST some tonight. I've talked to several different companies. Some have called today asking about ICAST and what's going on. I see the Ultimate Anglers in here. We're going to talk about that. They have a virtual tournament going on right now. So the Ultimate Angler Championship is for $500,000 on Guntersville. You don't have to tournament fish to qualify for that. You can go to their virtual tournament on Fishing Chaos, and you can qualify for that. It's been a big success. I mean, we may even do it again because we've had a lot of people get in it, and we want to promote it more for this next time. But you can go fish for $500,000, qualify to go fish for $500,000 on Guntersville, and you don't have to just go fish a tournament on Saturday or Tuesday night or whenever. You can go out during the week for a month, and every time you catch a big fish, you measure it and send it in. So y'all need to go to Fishing Chaos. Look at the Ultimate Anglers virtual tournament. There's several other virtual tournaments going on. Tyler Reels has had one going on for a while. We're fixing to do one. I've got some very exciting people that we're doing a virtual tournament with for Fishing Chaos. But anyway, one of the things I want to talk about with ICAST, I got a call from a company today, and that company is somebody that I work close with. I've never gave anybody the finger for yelling at me, but that company called me and said, hey, we're fixing to pull the trigger on going to ICAST or not. We need to decide whether we want to go to ICAST or not. And, ICAST is one of those things where you've got to figure out if you're going to get a return on your investment for going to ICAST. Now, I do want to say this. I think there's been a lot of anglers that have gotten emails that said, hey, company's not going to pay for you to come to ICAST this year. When I started this whole social media thing, I wanted to do it to help the anglers, to make fishing better for the anglers. Now, with that being said, if a company has been loyal to you and pays you good money, they've been loyal, and they all of a sudden can't pay for you to go to ICAST, your ass needs to go anyway. You need to pay for yourself. And a lot of people are too big for their britches now and think, well, I'm not paying my own way to ICAST. So-and-so should pay it. Bitch, you was paying for it when you didn't have no sponsors. So you can pay for it now. When the companies are not doing well, I feel like you should help them too. It goes both ways. So I don't know the future of ICAST. I hope it sticks around, but it's not looking good. With Pure Fishing pulling out and some other people pulling out, it doesn't look good. But my whole argument is that we have, without the sponsors in our fishing industry, the fishing industry doesn't survive, and these guys aren't able to fish professionally the way they do. And so for some of you guys that's maybe thinking about not going to ICAST, you need to think twice, because if you do pay your own way to go, that's going to look really, really good to a lot of these sponsors. And you know what? You may pick up another sponsor while you're down there. You never know. And so I've had a lot of people call me and say, they ain't paying, I ain't playing. Well, you might want to think twice. Adrian, those possum tail worms are legit. There you go. There's one right there. You pick it up, it straightens out. You stop it in the water and it curls back up. It's pretty juicy. Pretty juicy. You can see it in my TikTok shop. But we have to look after the people in the industry just like they look after us. And then the fishing industry is a really not that big if you think about it. 56.5 million people bought fishing license, but there's really only about 500,000 that actually fish tournaments. There are true tournament every weekend fishermen. So Dave, I have a foundation repair company. To be honest with you, I don't do a lot with it anymore. I have somebody that runs it, that does everything with the foundation repair company, and I do just what I'm doing now. I do videos, and I have sponsors in the fishing industry too, and so that allows me to do the things that I do. And this being late senior year, I wanted to be able to go with him wherever he went. ICAST is in Orlando. That's where it's been, I guess, for the last couple of years. That's where it'll be this year. What's up, Spencer? Man, Spencer, tell them where they can see your podcast and your radio show. Spencer does a outdoor radio show that's phenomenal here in Alabama, and y'all should go check out Spencer's stuff. Bailey, I don't have any waypoints for Duck River. Me and Jordan Lee went last year and filmed one day, but I don't have any waypoints. I think it really doesn't matter. Duck River is phenomenal, so it really doesn't matter where you go. You can catch them down at Duck River. Cody, I need a new hat too. I don't like the ones with the big patch. They're supposed to be making some smaller ones. I don't like these. Goob says it does matter. We'll get Goob in here in a minute and let him talk about Duck River, because Goob has been 10 days in a row. Y'all think I'm spoiled being able to go fishing whenever I want to? No, Goob's spoiled. But he earned it. Goob absolutely earned it. No, you have to have a company to get you into ICAST. Not just anybody can go. Media people can go. Not just anybody. No, it's Duck River in Coleman, Alabama. BGP fishing, I don't know with the weight boats. It is terrible. There's a Fishers of Men down there in 2 weeks, and I don't know why anybody would schedule a tournament in the middle of June on Smith Lake, but they did. Well, Bassmaster did it last year, so Who knows? I don't know. I don't think you can buy a ticket to ICAST. I think you have to go through someone. I don't know about that with Cliff Prince. I'm throwing like a plum. And tomorrow night on the live that I do with Joe Durham, we'll talk more about all the ABA stuff. He's the attorney that's handling everything for the guys that had bounced checks, and he's got a lot more information about it. What's up, Lawn Addict? He's done some more investigation about it. And y'all tell me what y'all think, okay? With ABA, you know, Morris Sheehan, who's the president of ABA, he come out today and said, well, we're going to do all cash tournaments, entries and everything, payouts for the next few from here on out so that we know everybody gets their money. He said that there's an issue with the bank. Well, we know the issue with the bank is there's no money in it. But would y'all not feel better if he just come out and said, hey, we're struggling. I can't pay you right now. We misappropriated some funds, but you know what? We're going to get it to you. I mean, we're going to get it. Doing all I can do. But like with some of these guys, he's telling them, hey, I'm going to send you another check. And then he sends you another check, and then it bounces, and he says, I'm going to wire you the money, and then I'm going to wire you the money next week, and I'm going to wire you the money next week, and nobody ever gets it. I just feel like, you know, I've had things happen in my life, and you know, I just feel like it's better to say, hey, I screwed up, and take it. I know sometimes we don't want to do that because of pride or whatnot, but I think it would be better to do that. Yeah, Paul, that's what they're saying, that they're paying cash from this point forward, but they owe a couple $100,000 to people that's already won. I don't know what you mean. Do I think posting making things right is BS? Yeah, I think it's BS. I don't know. G Money messaged me a few minutes ago, and I tried to call him back, and he didn't answer. So, and by the way, y'all go look at my last two videos. I need to sell one of those boats. Anybody wants to buy one of those boats, I'll make you a heck of a deal. One of them has like 30 minutes on it, and the other one's been broke in. Wheeler sucks right now, Bailey. It's absolutely horrible. We've been catching most of our fish on swim bait and a Carolina rig, but it sucks. Yes, Brian, I still have my woman. She just left yesterday, going back to Mobile. The ABA doesn't have a New York division. Yeah. Yeah. I don't, the white one, a little bit more expensive, and I really don't know what to price them at, big ass bass. I'll tell you this, you won't get one cheaper anywhere in the world, and it depends on what you want on it. You know, I've got that one decked to the hilt, okay? And if somebody told me they just wanted boat and motor, or they want it just with the Lowrance or the Garmin or the Humminbird, I would sell it anyway. I would put you AGM batteries in there, don't care. The white one has a 12-inch Humminbird up at the front. A Solix has a 12-inch Lowrance up at the front and a 12-inch Garmin with live scope. At the dash, it's got a 12-inch Humminbird and a 12-inch Lowrance. It has two poles on it. It's got the chiller system in the cooler. It's got the digital readout. That white one is decked to the hilt. I may do a video on everything it has tomorrow. But if somebody said, hey, I want different batteries, or I don't want all these units, I can do whatever you want. But the black one, I would sell somewhere, I'd say me, it's not my boat. It belongs to a company that bought it, but it would be sold within the 90s. The chiller systems are electric. I mean, they do run off the batteries, but Cody, that chiller system's incredible, dude. My water stays at 70 degrees at all times. Yeah, Aaron. I mean, a lot, and Aaron is with Chompers. You know, they're a bait company, and they can tell you more about, you know, what ICAST does. As a matter of fact, I'll invite Aaron in if he wants to come. Um, if I can figure out that. Aaron, go in there and request to come in. I'm gonna send you an invite so we can talk about ICAST. I see Tyler's in here. I want to talk to him about it too. Um, but from a bait company's perspective, I want to know how they feel about ICAST. What's going on, Aaron?
Can you see me or just hear me?
Mhm. I can't see your picture. No, I just see your picture. I don't see you.
Okay, well, it's storming its butt off, so let's see here.
So let me ask you a question. I got a call from a company today, and they were just asking. You know, they were calling several different people. Do you think it's worth it to go to ICAST? And what do you think?
Okay, you want my input on ICAST?
Yeah. So tell who Chompers is and what y'all do, so people know what we're talking about.
So Chompers Bait, we're based in Missouri. We have two companies basically in one. Table Rock Bait and Tackle. We manufacture, soft plastics and mostly terminal for a lot of other companies. So, but our brand that we actually, that we push out there to customers and retail, dealers is Chompers Bait. Need I say the new FFS scoping head, the number one jig head in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the possum tail worm. Those are our two hot things right now. But with that being said, even with those two baits that are selling off the charts for us, I would not dream of spending somewhere in the neighborhood, their back, the booth, everything involved. It would be 8 to 10 grand. And that's for a small booth, 10 by 10. And all we're going to get there, Slick, is contacts. We're going to have people stop by the booth that we already sell to, and it's not going to benefit. I mean, they're not going to buy anything they're not already buying from us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just going to stop and say, hey, cool, nice to see you, shake your hand. They might look at something. Well, I don't want to know, are you coming out with something new? But you could call them, text them, or send them an email on that point anyway. So they're gonna already know if you want them to know. So basically, ICAST is like it's a show. It's like, I don't know if I could say this on, what I want to say is involves a cuss word, but it's hard to say it without saying it, but huh?
Say it.
It's a dick measuring contest, Slick.
That's what I said. That's what I said before you said it. So I was making sure we were on the same page.
Yeah, it's like fishing a tournament. I mean, it's your home water. Everybody knows you're going to win, and you win, And you just fish all these local tournaments only. You don't go anywhere where you don't have a chance because you're going to win. It's like your pond in your backyard. So, and that's what it turns into down there. It's like we got all these big wigs that pay the money, and it's almost like a circus or a carnival. You got people that blow the money, and they'll have a booth with free beer, okay, stuff like that, and they're going to get a crowd.
So let me ask you this. I want to know this. A lot of people have said it's almost like a pay-to-play thing, like for getting best in show and all that stuff. I've always heard that. But you can't sell anything there, right? Like you can take orders, but you can't sell anything, right?
Right. All you do is go there and give away free stuff. The majority of the people that come up to your booth, they're like, hey, do you have free samples? And I'm not kidding. That's just how it is. And I don't know how they get in and who's letting them in or whatever, but it should be dealers, right? Or press or somebody who's important in the industry or is, paid to get in. But you end up with a bunch of people. Like when I have a booth there, I think they let me, they've never limited how many people I get passes for, but I only get passes for people that are going to actually work, help me, set up the booth and all that. But I want to tell you what really aggravates me about it's not just ICAST. It's, I've done so many shows across the country. It is the fact that we have to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get something moved from our trailer or our truck to our booth. It's like a racket they have going. I'm not bad mouthing the people that do it, and I ain't gonna say who they are, but it's a racket. We have to pay thousands of dollars to have something unloaded, and we're not allowed to bring our own like carts or none of that. You have to pay for a dolly, pay for a cart, all this. And it just makes it impossible for a real do-it-yourselfer kind of company that just wants to do their own thing, carry their own stuff,
Well, that's the same way at the Classic. One of my sponsors, and let me say this. Everybody asks, they get on me when I always fuss about Bassmaster and say Bassmaster sucks. The management at Bassmaster sucks dicks, okay? That's just the bottom line. I can't stand them. And I'll give you an example of what happened. One of my every person that sponsors me, every company that sponsors me was on the second floor this year, okay? Conspiracy or not, you have to know the dynamic between me and the people at Bassmaster. But one of the companies, they were supposed to have their sign hung before they got there. It wasn't hung. It was sitting there in their booth. So they said, hey, what happened to our sign? Like it was supposed to be hung. They didn't hang it. So they said, call this number. They'll hang it. They called the number and got a bill for $6,000
to hang a sign, a banner.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And going back to that second floor, do you know what we call that? Like if you're a vendor and you've paid a lot of money, the same amount of money that those guys on the main floor. It's the yard sale of the tackle industry. We're in it's a garage or a yard sale. So whoever makes it up there on the second floor, they're burnt. They've already went through hundreds of cool booths to get up to your cool booth, and if they even show up, if they even come up there. Second floor is non-existent, okay? And that's my opinion. If they put me on the second floor, and it's happened, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I paid the same amount, but they just, you get the shaft. And once you're up there, you're screwed. And
I feel like Bassmaster would do better by saying, okay, it's X amount of dollars to be on the first floor, and you can pay a little bit less and be on the second floor, But, with ICAST is huge, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm usually there for 2 or 3 days, and I still don't see everything, right? It's huge.
yeah.
But from a vendor's standpoint, Shane just said used to be $250 to plug in a drop cord. Hell, it's probably more than that. But at ICAST, what it's supposed to be about and what it is about now is totally different. And, Pure Fishing is pulled out for this year. Pure Fishing is not going to be at ICAST. And, they took up a lot of space, Pure Fishing did.
Yeah,
and,
huge.
For them, they're spending a tremendous amount of money to pay for their anglers to be there, paying anglers to be in the booth, for the booth. And you just, now things are about a return on investment. And quite honestly, you can get more. Think about how much money you spend on ICAST. If you spent that same amount of money in digital marketing, whether it be social media marketing or whatever. Like, okay, our Chomper's Head is on TikTok Shop, right? So if you spent $10,000 to go to ICAST, all right, if you spent that same $10,000 on marketing for this possum tail or this head right here, you're going to get a return on your investment.
I guarantee you $10,000 invested that way would turn either, both of those two hot items that we're selling, it would turn that into $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
No lie.
100%. And, so you're asking me to spend $10,000 at ICAST, and the company that called me today, I asked him, I said, how much you think you're going to spend? 15? He said, oh, no, probably 10. I said, how many people you bringing? He said, 5. I said, so you're paying for their flights, you're paying for the Airbnb, you're paying for the meals, and you're paying for your booth. He goes, oh shit, no, we're at 20,000. I said, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Slick, keep in mind, ICAST is in Florida. So
not centralized.
The majority of the people that come in my booth when I'm at ICAST with Chompers and Table Rock Bait and Tackle, the majority of them are saltwater, okay? They're from the East Coast or the Gulf or Florida, and they're saltwater. So if you're not saltwater, you're just, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's in the wrong place, period, for anybody who's into bass, crappie, and all that. There is some tackle shops from Florida, Okeechobee and all them guys that they're there, but a lot of tackle shops are not going to pay to fly and do all that from Minnesota or Michigan or California. Some do, but it's very limited. So,
well, I think that's why the Classic, to me, is always in the South. It seems to do better, because if they had the Classic in California, I'm probably not going.
Yeah.
But you have it in Knoxville. Hey, I'm in. I'm going. Even last year, having it out in Texas, hey, that's a 9-hour drive for me. I'm coming. But yeah, the Classic is so much better for vendors. I think it sucks how Bassmaster charges people out the yin yang, and it costs so much to go. But I think you still get somewhat of a return on your investment as long as you're not up on the second floor. But ICAST is a totally different story. I think ICAST is better for anglers because you can go make contacts, you can talk to people about sponsorships. But this is the thing. Seaborn, I'm not banned in Texas yet. This is the thing for you. You go spend. Let's just say you and Ben go and let's just say y'all said, hey, Slick, we want you to come be in the booth. We're going to pay you to come too. And okay, you spent 15 grand. Okay. And we're at ICAST and we're trying to get orders from people. The number one thing we're going to get is people coming in wanting to know if we can sponsor them. That's going to be the number one thing.
Exactly right. So I've spent all this money to get there, and all I'm thinking about while I'm there is selling product. Guess what I spend most of my time doing? Talking to people that want me to sponsor them, and a lot of social media influencers will come to the booth and they want to try to make deals. All we're thinking about is selling worms and jig heads and our stuff. We have to sell our stuff, and granted, some of these people are legit and they will sell stuff for us, and it will, I've never really seen it, be profitable on these. And we've had pros, I ain't saying names, but we've paid them a lot of money. And guess what? There was no huge return. The social media is what it's all came to for us tackle companies. And you can see all the big ones on TikTok. They're the ones that have figured it out.
So
And
this guy here, Jayville Mike, he just commented on here that he had sold a bunch of chompers on TikTok. And that's what I'm talking about. You get a bunch of people like Jayville Mike, okay? You get, and I don't mind telling people this, and I hope you don't mind me telling people this, okay? When you sell chompers on TikTok Shop, you pay a commission to the person selling it, okay? And it's a good commission. It's a really good commission. But you're going to make more money off that than you make selling to Joe Blow's tackle shop, right? Having to sell at wholesale.
unfortunately, yes, it's way more profitable. Who was that? Java? For some reason, I can't see comments because I'm not real savvy.
It's Jayville Mike. And here's the thing. I'd rather have 100 Jayville Mikes selling those heads than I had paying one pro to go out there and twice a year make a video saying, I'm sponsored by Chompers, go buy my stuff. I just had.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the pros need to win also. And Chompers, whatever Chompers we have a ton. We have over 900 SKUs, but there's a good chance that what we have is not going to win for a pro at that given time, at that given location. So they got to throw whatever. So I think I'm looking at this from average Andy guy that's buying stuff wherever at Walmart, walking in Bass Pro. I don't think, honestly, do these people, just the average guy out there that fishes, do they believe that these pros are telling the truth when they're showing the bait and say, yeah, I caught them all on this? Do they believe that? Honestly, what do you think?
A lot of them don't. I've had these discussions over the last year with different companies. And I'm talking about some of the biggest companies in the industry. And I've said, I trust a guy more. Let's just pick a bait. Rapala Mooch Minnow, okay? Which is a great minnow, by the way. It's incredible. Let's just say that I'm sponsored by Rapala. And let's say that I catch them on a Zoom winged fluke. I would rather say, hey, I caught them on this Zoom winged fluke, but they'll also bite this smooch minnow, but today they bit this better. Okay? That's what I had preferred somebody say. And listen, the Japanese, the JDM stuff, that's what they want you to do. OSP. Okay? Y'all go look at OSP. The person that owns OSP, I had this same conversation with him. And OSP wants their anglers to tell the truth. They want their anglers to say what they caught them on, but tell something that you could use from OSP that's similar. Okay? And Red, you say, I'm going to lose my sponsors. Listen, I know you're kidding, but I have this conversation with every sponsor that I have. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm never going to bash you, but if your stuff doesn't work, I'm going to tell you. Aaron will tell you this. This Chomper scoping head, the one that I think is the greatest on earth. Okay, we went through a year of complaining and getting it right and doing this and doing that. And, I had this very head rusted on me. And I had somebody call me and say, hey, my hook's rusted. And I thought, well, I ain't had no hooks rust. And then I got to looking on my little place on my boat where I had a bunch sitting, and I had some hooks rust. And I realized why. If you put an elastic bait on here, if you put an elastic bait on any hook, and you leave it out there and it gets wet and it gets hot, it's going to rust. Okay. But I can tell you something about Aaron that's sitting right there on the right hand side of this screen. If I call him and there's a problem with this head, he's going to fix it. He's going to make it right. And so the problem that we have in the fishing industry is that a lot of times people don't want to be honest. They don't want to say, well, I'm having this problem with this, but it works. But then this is a problem. And I think that's the reason that when you get people like Jayville Mike and people that are just out there fishing with a product and say, hey, man, this thing works. People go, hey, I know that guy's telling the truth. And you know that they know that you're genuine and they're more willing to buy that product. You know, and I think that's why people sell differently. Jordan Lee is a soft seller. Okay. We did a video last year we didn't even do it for pure fishing. We just did it for fun. We're going to talk about the Horizon Head in just a second, JL Scott. But we did a video. I don't remember what bait it was. And Jordan caught a 4-pound spot and he said, don't buy this. Don't you buy it. Look here. Every tackle shop in Alabama sold out that day of that bait. He was being genuine and everybody knew, you know, he caught the fish on it.
Reverse psychology.
Chomper. So the reason it's called.
Slick, tell me how I could look at the comments.
You should be able to see them pulling up, but it may be because your video is not on.
I see myself and I'm tired of looking at me.
Okay. There should be, when you clicked on, there should be a picture of a camera with a line through it, and you should be able to click that and hit go live, and it shows your video. How many followers do you have?
25 million.
Yeah. If you got over 1,000, it should show your video.
I don't think I do. I have only.
That's what it is. J.L. Scott said, why is Chompers called the Horizon Head? Look, I'll tell you, and I'll let Aaron answer this question, but we went a long time back and forth with each other about what we were going to do, and they had figured out the hook. I had an idea of what I wanted with the reverse bend and the 5 collars for gluing, and they had their idea what they wanted, my idea what I wanted. But explain the Horizon part of it.
Okay, so for the record, we when as a bait company, you do a lot of research. You go through a trademark lawyer. So when we called it the Horizon Head, it was short for horizontal. So with that jig head, when you put a plastic on it, a minnow, and you just set it in water, it just sets perfectly horizontal, because the way that 60-degree reverse hook is, it just balances and the lead that we have going way back on the shank of the hook, it makes your bait balance horizontal. So we shortened it to Horizon FFS Horizon Head. But we did get some kickback because there was another pretty big brand that has a Horizon. I ain't even gonna say it, but they have Horizon in their name. Even though that name was clear and clean for us to use, just to avoid any conflict, we changed it. So it's registered now as the FFS Scoping Head, just for the record. But that was why we called the Horizon, is because of the horizontal, the way the bait lays horizontal in the water.
Brian said you really don't have to glue it with that head. I know it holds a freeloader pretty good. Yeah, the glue helps. I'll tell you why I wanted the 5 collars. That was my big thing. And Aaron will tell you, I bitched about it. And the reason being is because at the time, people were catching them on Sakamata shad. A lot of people didn't know that at the time. But my son was 16 or 17 years old. He was being very successful, and he was catching them on Sakamata. And he was going through them like candy. I mean, it was ridiculous. One fish, one bait. And I said, man, we got to do something to quit using all these baits. And so I called Aaron and I said, let's add another collar for more gluing area, and I think that'll help. And it does. I mean, sometimes you still just get one fish, especially if you use the heavyweight Sakamata. But that was my reasoning for wanting the longer. Well, everything happened by accident. I'll let Aaron tell you how the accident come with the hook being turned down. But when I did this, when I wanted this collar, Alton Jones Jr., he got some of the very first heads. And Alton Jones Jr. called me and he said, Slick, I can catch them all the way under the boat because it's keeping my bait horizontal. And I called Aaron and told him, and Alton Jones Jr. actually told him on live the reason he was catching them was because the fish were following the bait all the way to the boat and he was able to keep it horizontal. And so when you added that extra weight, I think that probably helped along with the reverse line tie, the 60-degree reverse line tie. But I want Aaron to tell you how, because it was luck. We're not trying to say that Aaron's the smartest person in the world, even though you may think he is. But you see that hook is turned down. And my kid was all about a different head. It was the queen tackle head. He was all about it. Well, once he started using this, he said, Daddy, I never lose a fish. And Aaron told me, he said, Slick, I'm catching these smallmouth up here and I'm tearing the hooks up trying to get them out.
Yeah.
And so
that worried me, Slick, too, because if I wasn't careful, I was killing fish. And right out the gate, I was the first one to test that hook on a jig head. And I don't own live scope. I live on Ozark River, but I know where there's fish, and it's similar to live scoping. If you know where there's fish or you really think they're there, this jig head works just as well as if you're live scoping. But these fish were choking this thing, and I'm usually a guy that just pops a head out of their mouth. You just pop it, you know how they do and how people do. And I realized, if I don't have needle nose on the front of this boat, you just cannot get it out. You'll destroy the fish and your jig head without needle nose. And I think I even told you, I don't know, man, if people ain't careful, they're going to be killing a lot of fish because it will not let go. That turned in hook was an accident. It had to do with, in the process of bending that hook 60 degrees backwards, which, by the way, nobody has ever done it ever in this industry. It's a one-piece hook that bends 60 degrees reverse. So
I wanted to talk about that, Aaron, and I want you to explain to people because you know better than I do. People have asked me, the biggest comment I get is wanting a smaller hook. Well, let me tell you something. If you knew how much problem we had just getting these hooks, you would understand why we don't do a smaller hook. So the thing about the reverse line tie, this is the only head that has a 60-degree line tie that is one piece. Okay? If you go look at any other head, especially with tungsten, it's a two-piece head.
Right.
I don't care about any of that as long as it works, right? But here's what I say to people that say, well, you need to do tungsten. Let me say something to you. If you cannot see whatever bait you're throwing on your live scope, then you need help with the settings. My son charges $600 a day to go out in live scope with you and set up your live scope and show you how to live scope. He'll be more than happy to set your live scope up where you can see this head at 110 feet. Okay? It ain't about tungsten. Hensley, the white icon, man, you'll have to call me about that. I'll send you my number. But it depends on what you want on it because I've got that boat loaded to the gills. Somebody might not want all that stuff. I'll take whatever off of it. I didn't really want to sell the white one. I wanted to sell the black one. But if the white one sells, I'm going to sell one of them, whichever one sells first. But somebody, big ass bass, says, I'm buying that one. Listen, I'm partial to that white one. And because I set that white one up exactly like I wanted it. Okay. And I'll tell you a little bit about it real quick. The powerhouse batteries in the back, I have two 36 volt, 60 ampere batteries in parallel for the trolling motor so that I can set in the current and spot lock and they're never going down. I have the running guns on those batteries. So they're charging while I'm running, while I'm fishing. They charge way better than your alternator from your motor. I have a 12 volt battery that runs my aerators, essentially. That's about it. All my units are on a 16 volt 140. But if something ever happens with that battery, it goes low, it goes out, whatever happens, I can flip a switch and I'm on a 12 volt 140. Okay? There's Aaron. So I got to set this boat up. I love the Lowrance maps. I love Humminbird maps. But they're different on different lakes. Okay? So I got a 12-inch Humminbird, a 12-inch Lowrance side by side. I love to down image with the Lowrance. I love side imaging with the Humminbird. I got both. Up front, I got a 12-inch Humminbird, I got a 12-inch Lowrance, a 12-inch Garmin with live scope. I'll be more than happy to put you one with perspective on it. So whatever somebody wants, this is like the best built boat ever. It's got a chiller system in the live well. I mean, it's got everything. Yeah, I got enough batteries to keep the space station running for a week. You're exactly right, Dustin. Powerhouse has went above and beyond and said, hey, we're going to make this the best boat ever. So that's what we did. Well, Ridge Runner, I also have a 360 that I'll put on there for you. So the white boat, the way it sits, is more expensive than the black boat, but I'd sell them boat and motor. It doesn't matter. We'll set it up any way anybody wants it because GAF Marine is the best there is at rigging those boats, and they'll do whatever you want. But enough about the boats. We're talking about ICAST and the fishing industry. So, Aaron, let me ask you this. The other day, Ben Milliken made a post and said that the people that said that people in the fishing industry was hurting was not telling the truth. Well, I don't feel like that's true. I feel like the fishing industry has been down for the last year. Do you agree with that?
It's just sucked. And I mean, I think it's financially, like me, I need a brand new trolling motor. I need some stuff right now. And I could go buy it, but is it a priority? Not really. I think
I've forgotten all about sending you a trolling motor. I have a trolling motor for years.
You know what? I rebuilt mine. It wasn't that hard. I just didn't want to do it, and I did it, and that sucker is like brand new. So I'm good, actually. But I think the fishing industry sucks, and I think it's due to the economy mostly. And I'm not looking for these tournament guys when I'm looking to produce new baits and make new baits. Obviously we got with you on the one we were working on. That hook was already in the making, and then you came along with your idea, and that was great for us. But let's take that out, and let's take the possum tail out, okay? Because here's what I say: companies that are just staying on the straight and narrow, they're not being innovative. I'm not talking about the innovative companies like Six Sense has been great. They're killing it. They're killing it. Yeah.
Six Sense is unbelievable. But I'm talking about, Zoom, companies like that. that are just going straight forward, and I want you to take out the possum tail, take out the head. Where are you?
Sucking hind tit.
And I think that's that way with every bait manufacturer.
Yeah. I mean, we have a loyal following for our brand. And, we have people that once a year they buy 200 of our whatever once a year. Usually in February, March, they stock up. We have customers that they just load their tackle box in their boat with bags of whatever they know they like. But as far as new customers and stuff like that, we're like, I think a lot of other companies, it's just stagnant, It seems like there's not a lot of new fishermen coming in. There was during COVID, what was it, like 7 to 10 million new fishing license bought from people that never bought one. It ain't just new, coming of age people. I'm talking about above and beyond. Well, I think those people bought everything they needed to go fishing, and then they all went back to work, and their kids went back to playing, baseball or whatever, and they all quit fishing.
And and a lot of that, if we look at the fishing industry, I hear it on my comment, I see it on my comments. I see a lot of people say, the only people that can make it in the industry is daddy's money and people that have money. The fishing industry is not set up for a guy wanting to, the average guy wanting to grind it out and fish professionally. Okay. I've went all in to try to help my own son, but at the same time, he has to contribute too, right? He's not going to learn anything just by me paying for everything. And so we've set him up an account, and he makes good money from Icon's contingency program. Look, he's gotten a $5,000 check every day this week. Okay, it's been incredible. But he also lives with his mother. He doesn't have to pay for a vehicle. He doesn't pay for a boat. He doesn't have a house payment, electric bill, grocery bill. Okay? Let's talk about the average guy. There's 109 people in here right now. The average guy that works for a living has to support a family. How is that guy supposed to go fish professionally? Because that's the guy that still has to pay bills, has to make enough money for a living. How can you go fish professionally? I don't want to hate on the guys that are able to do it. Okay. And I'll give you an example. Brody Campbell, Chad Mazurek. Okay. Those guys go fish every tournament, but they've got the sponsors to do it. And DNAG says no job makes that easier. 100%. That's what I'm saying. A guy with a job, how's he supposed to make a living and go and be able to go fish for a living and take that chance? He can't do it. And it's frustrating because some of the best fishermen in the world are going to work a 7:30 to 3 job now.
Oh, that JL Scott Fishing, they got great wives with real good jobs. That's me. That's me. But go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I don't hate on the kids who are able to do it, but like with Lake, I try to explain to him if it you got to be able, it's got to be sustainable. And he starts college next year, and we've had discussions about whether to go to school or not, because he was 17 years old when this year started. He's 18 now. Okay, he's going to make $100,000 this year with sponsors, with Icon money he's made in tournaments. He's going to make $100,000. Okay, but guess what? Let's just say he wanted to fish the invitationals next year. All right, at that point, he's out 70 grand. When you talk about entry fees, expenses, 70 grand is gone. Okay. So that means you made 30 grand last year. What kind of living can you make on 30 grand? I mean, and Tim Hensley, I love Tim Hensley, by the way. He always comments, but he says the BFLs are the working man's tournament. Here's the problem. They don't pay. They don't pay enough. I mean,
What's the first place BFL?
Hold on, somebody's knocking on the door. Let me see who this is. First place in BFL used to be 5,000, but it's less than that now.
Look what I found today in my garden. Not change subject, but that was a winner for me for today.
Can you hear me, Aaron?
Yeah, I hear you. Who's coming in?
So a BFL, my daughter, she's got to put my contact in. A BFL pays about $3,500, depending on the number of boats. Used to pay $5,000, but like I fished a BFL on Wheeler. I finished sixth, and I think I made $696. Okay, you got a $200 entry fee. Let's just say you got $100 on gas, vehicle, and boat. Okay, you get $300. You make $396, and you finish in the top 10.
Yeah, I don't see how. I don't know. I mean, you have to be doing it for fun, not for the money, is my opinion. But as a tackle, I own a tackle business. Honestly, Slick, and I've told you this, my target, we try to make baits that can win tournaments, but we try to make baits that average Andy can go to grandpa's pond or his uncle's lake or whatever, fish, wade in the creek. You got to have baits to catch fish. And, I've never been on board with creating a quote unquote banjo minnow. And I don't think, that kind of thing has any longevity. And those tournament guys, they just don't pay for a lot of stuff, to be honest. They want.
He said, what solution do you think would fix the payout and overall? Whew, man. I mean, you got to have sponsors, but you have to be able to give the sponsors a return on their investment. And I don't know how to do that other than being able to profit off of people going live. And it all comes back to social media now, because that's how we reach people.
As a sponsor of a big tournament, which we've done, Slick, there's easy fixes for if you're a sponsor of a big tournament trail. They should require every single one of their fishermen that are, fishing that to, let's say, share and, follow the company that's sponsoring them, follow that company's social media, share the posts for a certain amount of time, at least during the tournament. When you don't get any of that, what did you get? You got yourself a sign at the weigh-in that means nothing for us, Yeah,
I want to touch on that. It's the one that says left. Emma's got to put my contact in because I can't put them in. But touch on that. Paying $10,000 to sponsor a major event. I mean, how do you get a return on the investment?
I haven't figured it out yet, Slick, because it's never happened. I tell you what we have better luck with is giving product away to the tournament trail to where, every single person fishing it can pick through a giant bin of product from us, find something they like or that might work for them. And it would be nice if they would, push the fact that, hey, these sponsors want a little bit of support on social media, share, follow, comment. None of that usually happens. None of that's required. And it's like you're just, and $10,000 you said, you're pushing more towards 15 to 25 grand and upwards of 50 to do one of the big ones. I'm talking one tournament, not for the whole year, just say Gunnersville Lake when they go there. One of the big tournament trails, that would be 25 grand for what? A big banner saying Choppers Baits. I'm out.
So, I've said this, like with these sponsors, and a lot of the companies are old school, but I've always asked when I talk to marketing people within a company, okay, how do you measure your return on your investment? Like, what's your return? And nobody knows. And there's a difference between marketing and advertising. Okay, I said this today to one of the companies that was asking about going to ICAST. If you're a new company or you have a new product, ICAST is not a bad idea.
Right.
But let me tell you the difference between marketing and advertising. Marketing, you don't make money off of. That's getting your name out there. That's to build your brand. Advertising gets you a return on your investment. And so there's a big difference. I mean, it's one of those deals where with these tournaments, are you wanting to advertise or are you wanting to market your products? Because advertising makes you money, marketing doesn't.
Boy, it's easy to get distracted reading comments. Like,
I know, I'm doing it right now.
Me too. I don't know. I guess, do you realize how many messages I get, emails a day? I'm talking per day.
Hold on, Aaron, before you say this, I know what I think you're about to say. You tell me if I'm wrong. The one thing that I was fixing to say, and this goes out to college guys, anybody that wants sponsorships in the fishing industry. Do not call a company and ask what they can give you. You call and ask what you can do for that company. And I imagine you're fixing to talk about people wanting sponsorships.
Yes. Well, guess what? The first thing I do is I click on all their social media. And I'll be dang slick if I find one in a month that has over 1,000 followers on anything, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it'd be a miracle. I mean, these guys, they don't get it. They have to they are a brand. They are their own entity. They have to build their social media and be something attractive before I'll even look at it. We just can't do it. They're trying in the wrong way. What they need to do is build their own brand, make it enticing. I have seen nothing in 3 months that even got exciting for me as far as emails, messages. And it's sad because these are good guys, good people, young men and women, on their way up, and they have some really eloquent, I'm sure they're using AI to send these emails and messages, and it's great. It's good stuff to read, but I can't throw money at none of it,
Yeah. Tim said he'll send you his. The Love Boat. No, Red, I just had to tell her. Yeah, I'll tell you a story. So my girlfriend Brooke, she's from Mobile. She's a saltwater fisherwoman, I'll say. And she came up here this weekend. We fished a tournament. And, the saltwater people don't really set the hook. You know what I mean? They just pull into them. So I kept telling her, you got to set the hook, you got to set the hook. And the last hour of the tournament, She had been fussing at me the whole day about us trying to sabotage her. And I had her drag real loose, and she sets the hook, and the reel just explodes. So I heard it. When she set the hook, she did it right. It went whoosh. So she starts pulling it out. She finally gets it out. She's still just fussing at me. And she starts reeling, and it's still on there. It's a 4-pounder. So I got a video of it. So the tournament's over at 7:30, and so I've got to go. I'm strapping everything down. It's 7:23. I said, we got to go. And I look up, and she's done pulled into another one. And it was big fish of the tournament. It was only about it was almost a 5-pounder. And so we won. She caught the biggest 2 fish, and I have had to hear about it ever since, about what she did. So there you go. I told it. She caught the biggest 2 fish. She won her first ever bass tournament, and it was awesome. Yeah, that's what happened. Hensley, the ABA check cashing, I'll tell about that real quick. It's gotten worse. The guy that won a boat, they sent him a certificate. It was a fraudulent certificate. They made it. It said that he got a boat from Camus. Camus doesn't know anything about it. Camus does not. ABA told the guy that the boat was being built. Camus doesn't know anything about that. It's not being built. I'm doing a live with Joe Durham, the attorney that's handling all that next year. Or the person that's handling it now. We're going to do a live tomorrow. There's 2 lawsuits already filed, Hensley. But anybody that has a check that bounced with the ABA that doesn't have your money, you can call Joe Durham. You can message me on here. I'll give you his number. We're going to be live tomorrow talking about it. And dang it, I'm going to cut Ricky Miner's Wi-Fi back off. I bought the RV park that Ricky lives in, and I turned his Wi-Fi off a couple of weeks ago, and he's still commenting, so I turned it back on. But anyway, you can message me on here, and I will contact Joe Durham and give him your number, and you can get involved in that lawsuit. Because here's the thing: if they go file bankruptcy, you may not ever get your money. And so get your lawsuit filed, get your name in a hat where you get your money back. So I hope they can straighten it out. ABA was an awesome tournament trail. I got a lot of trophies around here from ABA back in the day. It was awesome. He's not charging anything. He's doing this for free. Okay, and there's a reason why he's doing it for free. But Joe's kind of like the fishing industry attorney, and he's going to handle it. Yeah, J.L. Scott, that's the announcement they made. They were going to do everything cash so people would still fish. But that doesn't do anything for the people that haven't gotten their money. I mean, Tucker Smith won back in February, and he's gotten 2 checks at Bounce. Told him they were going to wire the money 2 weeks ago. He still don't have it. Stephen, they did. They made an article saying that they had a banking issue. Yeah, there is a banking issue. There ain't no damn money in the bank. And that's okay. Listen, Aaron, you've been broke before. I've been broke. Just say, we don't have it right now. We're going to try to fix it.
No money. I can't. You got to say no. You got to say can't do it. No.
Yeah. Yeah, this is American Bass Anglers out of Athens, Alabama. Oh, I agree, Red. It's going to be bad. Yeah, JVL Mike. Hey, I'm broke now. Shit, I'll admit it.
Well, I'm fixing my own freaking trolling motor, so what does that tell you, Slick?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mind it, though. I did a good job.
I've been there. Well, listen, I'm going to be on tomorrow night with Joe Durham, who's the attorney representing the anglers for ABA, and we'll tell you more about everything that's going on. I hope that they get it straightened out. Man, all these people need their money. Um, and Joe just sent me a text while we're talking about two anglers. Joe has filed a lawsuit with two anglers so far, but anybody that wants to get involved in that, you can DM me. I'll give you Joe's number. I'll give you his cell phone number, and you can call him, and he will take care of you because he is wanting to take care of this situation.
Well, Slick, what will filing a lawsuit do if somebody don't have money? Just curious.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. So the one thing that if they file bankruptcy right now and you don't have anything filed, you're screwed.
Yeah.
The one thing you cannot file bankruptcy on is fraud. So, that's why you need to be in a lawsuit. Yes, OJ, Joe is that attorney that got involved with the Tucker Smith situation. He'll tell you right now he messed up. He made a mistake. He's paid for it. Okay. Just because he went and whole set right there or whatever you want to call it, doesn't mean he doesn't do a good job as an attorney. I've said that before. I've got another person that runs a tournament organization that is mad at me. We don't speak, but I can still admit that person does a good job. I don't hold against you whether I like you or not, or whether I think you're a good person. If you do a good job, you do a good job. Yeah, OJ, that's him. And Joe's not a bad person. Joe's actually a very good person. He made a mistake that day, and it happens. If we are all judged by the worst day of our life, we're all a piece of shit and we're all going to hell. Okay? So just remember that. Don't judge somebody by their worst day. All right? Because if we're all judged by our worst day, we're all bad people. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. when I'm making possum tail worms, don't mess with me. I'm in a bad mood, brother.
Hey, the possum tail video, like the last time I looked at it, it was almost 800,000. That blew me away.
That thing, Slick, we make them every day, all day. 10 hours a day, we make possum tail worms.
That's it right there. Y'all can look in my TikTok shop. That's the possum tail. I've got a video, and I think I did it in that video, of Aaron pulling it up on a jig head, and this tail straightens out, and it curls right back up. And it was incredible. And, man, if you're bed fishing or any type of finesse fishing, that worm is awesome. And so we've got the scoping head. This is the scoping head. We also have the pro head that is more for, like, using it for this. But I'll show you. This got the pro head has the turn down hook, and this is what we use for a shaky head. But like you can fish that possum tail just like that. And that tail will straighten out when you pull it up and it'll curl back up. You can go see it in my TikTok shop. It's pretty.
I'll make some videos tomorrow, Slick. I've been noticing, a lot of the TikTok creators grabbing some videos here and there and making, coming up with their own sales pitch. The key is on that possum tail, and I'll have a video up tomorrow. When you're putting it on a shaky head, you have to rig it backwards in your mind. Like the tail has to curl up the opposite direction of what you would do.
Okay.
On a shaky head. And I'll show it tomorrow in the tank on a video.
And listen, any of you people that want to do, if you want to do a video on the possum tail or the head, if you'll DM me on here, I will send you our original tank videos. I'll send anybody that wants one of the original videos, and you can put together whatever you want. You can edit it how you want, but I'll send you the originals so that you can, do whatever you want on those. So what Aaron's saying is, you see the tail curling up here. You're saying bring the hook out on the back side of it.
Right. Otherwise, it's going to somewhat. So when I was developing that possum tail, I think I was on like my 7th. Okay. So on a shaky head, exactly the opposite of that, Slick.
Okay.
On a stand-up head, on a like a football, or if you're going to drag it, Texas rig, it really doesn't matter. And I have Texas rig videos, but I'll tell you what surprised me. Guides were buying those and drop shotting them. And I don't drop shot. I live on a river, so these guys were going nuts about them on drop shot. And that I think you'll see, well, I don't know if I posted or not, but yeah, I think I did today. A guy caught a 10 pound 3-ouncer. And if you look at TikTok shops, like I think we have a 4.8 or a 5-star on that possum tail, and we've sold thousands of them. And there's a couple of Ricky Miners in every group that has something negative to say. Oh, whoops, did I say that? But you know what? Like one of our bad reviews, this is how dumb it is. And this guy ain't dumb, but he gave us a 1-star review, and he said, I got my package, it was ripped open and nothing was in it. What? Okay. So did I do that?
Hey, do you make the possum tail in Morning Dawn?
Yes.
Okay.
We have those in stock too. Tomorrow I have to make green pumpkin. We don't have a single pack left. So we'll have some at the end of the day though. Yeah, Morning Dawn, we have a ton of them. Drop shotting guys they're buying those.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, all right, I'm gonna get off here. It's 8:30. I'm getting off and going. My cat Floyd Buckets is wanting to go outside. Do you have blue fleck?
We have black blue flake. We have green pumpkin blue flake, green pumpkin purple flake.
Do you
Go
have
to
them on
TikTok
Tackle
shop. Go
Warehouse?
to TikTok shop.
Aaron, are these at Tackle Warehouse?
Yes.
Yes.
They just put a big order in this afternoon. So they were sleeping. I went on the Tackle Warehouse and they were sold out of 40 or 50% of the colors. And I bumped them and said, hey, people can't get them, you don't have them in stock. Well, he put in a monster order last week, and then today he put in another huge order. So yeah, they're keeping up if they pay attention. But Tackle Warehouse has every single color we sell.
Good. Yeah, and a lot of people, some people don't want to buy off TikTok shop. That's fine. You get a discount on Tackle Warehouse. You see one of those videos, go to Tackle Warehouse and buy them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Bass Pro, a lot of Bass Pros have limited, colors. I think Bass Pro picked up the top 8 or 10 colors, popular colors, but they're not in every Bass Pro in the country. But if you need them in your Bass Pro close to home, you walk in there, you ask for the fishing department manager, and you demand he put them in, and he'll put them in.
Yeah, GTO has them too.
Yes, GTO has them, and they keep stocked on almost everything we carry. So,
well, all right. I'll be back on tomorrow with Joe Durham, and thank you for coming on, Aaron. I appreciate it.
no problem. We'll see you guys. Take it easy.
See y'all.